I didn't set out to be a radical at all. The whole reason that I started writing, doing these video blogs, video reviews that I call Book and a Martini, was to read pretty books, let you know about pretty books, maybe have a little fun. Well, maybe it was my fault for starting to review nonfiction because, yeah, I've become pretty much a radical. Kind of all started with this one, John Lanchester's IOU. Why everyone owes everyone and no one can pay. It was about the financial crisis on Wall Street in 2008. We're going to be talking a fair bit about Wall Street. Besides book reviews, I've been writing a television column for the newspaper in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, for the last 11 years. I'd like to read you the most recent column. It was the 572nd one that I'd written, and it was to be published on September the 30th of 2011. On the whole, it would have been easier if I had just written about Chaz Bono's breast removal. I'd asked for topic ideas on Facebook, and that was suggested to me. The removal of breasts gives one male status. Chaz has not yet been looked at under the hood, shall we say. As such, this is rather insulting to anyone who has had a double mastectomy. But that's about all I had to say. So instead, I'm going to tell you a story which, if I tell it well and accurately, should scare the hell out of you. You have my absolute word that there is not a shred of exaggeration in the words contained here, no leaving out of details that might weaken my argument, and any supposition I make will be clearly stated as just that. But the next time you look at your computer, I hope you realize that it is looking at you. At about 1 a.m. on Thursday morning, I started to write the column for today. I was at my regular job as a night auditor at a local hotel. I would say the name of the hotel, but the management and staff are kind people, and they may not want to be drawn into what could prove to be a rather ugly and vicious fight. At least I'm hoping so, on all counts. I use Google Docs for most of my writing. The online storage is convenient. I can work on my desktop, my laptop, or the hotel computer, and there is my stuff, available to my eyes. Oh, it's a little short on fonts and features, but it's not like I'm drawing posters here. The column was going to be on 3 topics that have been brought to my attention by a morning newsletter I get from MediaBistro.com, a news digest about the industry. I was going to discuss 3 news stories that I felt were being neglected. The first was on the Wall Street protests. I would happily quote exactly what I wrote, but for reasons you're about to read, or in this case here, I can't. I was writing the 3rd paragraph, the second on the issue at hand after the general introduction. I recalled a conversation I had last week with Zipporah Berman, the Canadian environmentalist who is now a highly respected and senior member of Greenpeace International. Zipporah mentioned that the value of celebrity endorsements of causes was that they created coverage. So I wrote that the actress Daryl Hannah had been arrested at the protest, just as she had been 2 weeks ago in Washington, protesting against the pipeline to bring tar sands. And those were the last words I was allowed to write. I need to repeat the above caveat. I am not exaggerating at all. Suddenly, I could not write another word. The file had been stored in the Google Docs folder. I noticed that when I had to look up the spelling of Daryl Hannah's first name, that the file had been stored. A banner then flashed across the top of my column. I had broken Google's service agreement, which forbids, and I do quote, words intended to incite violence. Here are the exact words I wrote about the Wall Street protests, which I am positive I remember precisely. Quote, the largest peaceful protest in years, close quote. Now, perhaps it was my referral to a lovely actress being captured that set off the alarm bells. Maybe that sounded, you know, kinky and sick. Except I'd made a word error that I was about to go back and fix. I wrote, Daryl Hannah was hauled off in cufflinks. Not handcuffs, cufflinks. Clearly, Google takes a dangerous view of fashion accessories. We must neither let them fall into the wrong hands or shirts. Enough comedy, and do forgive me, but one must find the humor in life's horrors. So what did I do? Well, after a certain stunned silence, I thought I'd copy and paste what I had written into a new document, perhaps Microsoft Word. I could not copy it. I looked back at the Google Docs folder. The saved document was now unsaved and missing. I returned to the draft window. It was now blank. My work, may I remind you, the work of an honest journalist expressing an opinion about a news event, was considered dangerous, had been diffused, and destroyed. It gets worse. I notified the newsroom by Gmail, Google's email service, as to what had happened and that I would have to write the column when I got home in the morning. That email, I assume, was sent, and checking my sent mail folder just now, it was. Then the next things happened. Another banner appeared, this time with a blank triangle enclosing an exclamation mark. Because of unusual activity, quote unquote, my email account had been suspended. I would have to give Google my phone number or text them to get a reactivation code. I complied and Gmail was restored, although I do wonder, this is speculation, how and to where exactly my email is now being diverted. I posted what had happened on Facebook, and I wanted to do the same on Google+, which I had joined and quite liked after Facebook's last maddening update. My account at Google Plus was suspended because, quote, after reviewing your profile, we have determined that some of the content, for example, text, images, or names, violates the Google Plus community standards or names policy. Please remember that we are currently limiting profiles to individuals and will be launching profiles for businesses and other entities later this year, close quote. I was also suspended from Google Reader and Picasa, which I do not even use. As of this writing, Google Plus service has been restored. Rest assured that I will be following this up, principally by forwarding this column to Google as soon as I know that it has gone to press. I will report to you honestly as to what comes back, but do you want a preliminary conclusion? If so, here it is. I never truly understood why one of my heroes, Hunter Thompson, used the phrase fear and loathing in his observations on politics, money, and power. Now I do. Be seeing you. The column didn't run, incidentally. I haven't had official word back as to why. I have emailed Google asking for an explanation as to why my document was removed. One moment. Haven't heard it back from them either. What I have found is that both Google and Yahoo have been interfering with email accounts that talk about the protests in Wall Street. I find it terribly interesting that the Tea Party rallies, where thousands upon thousands of people gather in, yes, fear and loathing, people don't get arrested at those, they don't get tear gassed, but they do get amply covered in the media. The protest in Wall Street, boy, that one is being kept as hidden as you can possibly hide several thousand people. So guess what, kids? The old reviewers are radical now. It can get kind of scary, knowing that people don't like what you do and that they can interfere with, again, the work of an honest journalist. And by the way, I'm Canadian. I'm not even American, for God's sakes. I should not have my work censored. Some ways it's tempting to go back to reviewing X Factor and game shows and reality shows and all that. But you know, you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid the way Chris Turner isn't afraid in talking about the oil economy and how it has to change. You can't be afraid the way Zipporah Berman is not afraid in talking about the environment and how we have to save it. You can't be afraid the way Christopher Hitchens is not afraid in all of his work over the years. And you can't be afraid the way Chris Hedges is not afraid in his powerful opinions that you can find on truthdig.com. I'm going to keep fighting. I don't want to. I don't want to fight. I don't want to have to fight. But you know, We only get one world. And we got to do what we gots to do. So, from all of us here, to quote another one of my heroes, from all of us who work the late shift, and I hope YouTube runs this video, be seeing you, brothers.